The world of Pokemon fan games is one of the most impressive things a community can do. Obviously, when you create a franchise that's as big and influential as Pokemon, and it's something that people follow from a very early age, that's going to inspire a lot of those people to create their own projects based on that universe. But I feel like I've heard about Pokemon fan games almost as long as I've heard about Pokemon games in general. I remember MMO type games like Pokemon Crater and then Vortex, which is kind of a successor. And, projects like Pokemon Golden Sky, which maybe I'm the only one who remembers that, but I had a weird attachment to it, and I was actually very upset it never got finished. And then more recently, stuff like Pokemon Uranium. But even then, like, that's not even touching on ROM hacks, which are a dime a dozen. There's so many of them. Outside of Pokemon Creator, I haven't really delved too deep into the world of Pokemon fan games. But a few weeks back, or months even, I learned about this project called Pokémon Gamma Emerald from another channel, Munching Orange, and I was drawn to it immediately, and I've been following it ever since. Now, it's been a few weeks, and finally there's the first demo for the game that was released about a week ago. And I was excited to try it, and I was very excited to talk about it, so let's do that. So, what is Pokémon Gamma Emerald? As the name suggests, this is a game that's based on the template of Pokémon Emerald, specifically in the visuals. But it's a fully native PC game, and it looks beautiful now. It uses a style that kind of reminds me of the HD 2D style that you may know from Square Enix games like Octopath Traveler and the recent Dragon Quest III remake. It's a little bit different though, it's not exactly like that, but it kind of reminds me of that, and I love how it looks. I've actually been wanting to see a Pokemon game like this for a long time, because I remember a few years back there was a concept of something of like a Pokemon Red and Blue in this HD 2D sort of style. And I really wanted that to be a real thing. So that's actually the biggest reason I was immediately drawn to this project. And I was following it so closely because I really wanted to see this realized. And yeah, it's working out very, very well. I love the way Pokemon Gamma Emerald works. The pixel art looks beautiful in, the scenery. I really love especially seeing the leaves, the low resolution leaves fly by with the wind. It's so cool, and it's really charming. I don't know, there's something about it that feels so cozy. And the visual style really is the main draw of this game for me. I really found it so appealing from the beginning. There are some parts of the demo that don't use this pixelated HD 2D sort of style, and I think that's a bit of a shame, because I do feel like this could look so good if it fully embraced that pixelated art style. Some parts of it aren't like that in the beginning. There's a cutscene that's like fully 3D rendered, and I think that takes away a little bit of the charm. I think the water could also, if possible, look a little bit more like that style, like that original Game Boy Advance style. I hope for the final game they manage to do that, but even as it is, I think it still looks amazing. One part that does feature the pixel art as well is the battles, and in this case, you don't even actually get a lot of 3D here. It is entirely pixel-based, but the sprites are animated now, which is really nice. It's kind of like Pokemon Black and White. And the animations for moves aren't in that pixelated style, which I think in this case actually works really well. It makes the battles feel a little bit more alive, and, it's just more visually appealing. Things look a lot smoother than if you had just the same pixel-based animations that we had in the Game Boy Advance. So I think in the battles, this combination of pixels and the modern style of the animations works really well, and it looks really, really good. Like, even throwing the Pokeball, there's a bit of like a 3D effect to when you throw the Pokeball, but it still feels like very pixelated. And then even the animation as it zooms in and the Pokeball shaking, that's also using all pixels, and it looks really nice. I really do like this pixelated art style that they're going for. In the battles, I do think having those modernized animations is also a very good idea. Those smoother animations also help remind us that this is running on a PC natively with a lot more power than in Game Boy Advance, and it's kind of nice to see this fully native approach to a Pokemon game on a PC, because it really does feel like it's made for it. Things feel a lot smoother. It works with mouse and keyboard. It's designed more so for a gamepad, controller. But it does work with a keyboard if you prefer playing it that way. And yeah, overall, it's just really nice to have this project that isn't just a ROM hack that feels like, you're kind of working around certain things. The game is designed for PC first, and it works really well that way. And that also means that like all the animations are really smooth, all the transitions, the UI is all designed with the PC in mind, and so it just feels more natural than it would if you were playing a Game Boy Advance game, ROM that was just scaled up on the PC. Like, this works really well, and I really like that. Now, since this is a demo, obviously there's going to be a lot of quirks, and I've run into a lot of bugs while playing the game. Things that have caused me to lose a bunch of progress. So, it's not really ideal, but it's not meant to be. It is a demo. And I think what's really nice about this, though, is that the developer has been very surprisingly super active in responding to feedback. In the first week, I got the demo the day it came out, or the day after. And there's just been patches after patches. Almost every day there's patches fixing new things. So the developer is really trying very hard to make the game work better. And I've actually been holding off on getting too far because I do want to play the game on stream. And I kind of also wanted to wait for the patches to come in a little more. So when I stream the game, it's, a better version of it. So yeah, I've been waiting for that. But it's really encouraging to see this developer, who's called Undreamed Panic, by the way. You can check out the game on his channel on YouTube as well. It's really great to see them putting so much work into this project and just making sure that the experience is actually good, because that's obviously very important if you want to have a good game. So I'm very excited about the prospect for this, because it looks amazing and the developer is actually putting a lot of work to make it good. So I'm very happy to see that, and it's very exciting. And it's even more so because the demo is actually just completely separate from the final game. From what I was reading in the Discord server, I think they're considering implementing a system that allows you to bring your Pokemon from the demo to the full game, but the story of the game is not the same as the demo. And that's really interesting, how much is being poured into this demo to make it a good experience. It really shows how much the developer wants to learn and figure out everything to make the game work well, because the demo is going to be its self-contained thing, but he wants to learn all of this to make sure that the final game is as good as it can be, and that's really cool to see. And speaking of the story in the demo seems kind of interesting. It's pretty basic, but again, I also haven't made it super far. But basically, you arrive shipwrecked on a mysterious island on your way to the Hoenn region, and the island has been taken over by Team Magma. That's about all I know. It's not really very clear to me yet what Team Magma is doing there, but I think the plot is interesting. The narration is obviously not completely like Pokemon flavored like the official games, but it is close enough. Like the dialogue, I feel like, a lot of times Pokemon games, the fan games, don't have dialogue that really doesn't feel like it fits. It's like more adult or edgy in some ways, and here it feels like it could fall in line with the official Pokemon games, even though it's still a little bit different. And it's cool that it's different. Like, it shouldn't be the exact same. It doesn't have to be. But I do think it does a good job of, like, striking that sort of balance. It's within that realm where the tone of it is still easy enough to appreciate if you also appreciate the way that the normal Pokemon games are. So I also like that. And I'm very curious to see how the final game will handle the story, because that's obviously a big part of that as well. If you do want to try the demo though, there are a couple of quirks that I've noticed that aren't bugs, but they're things that just behave differently from the main games, and that might catch you a little bit off guard. The first one is the experience share. So like the official games, you can turn the experience share on or off, and it does affect the entire party. But what it does is that it gives your entire party the same amount of experience as if they participated in the battle, which is not like the official games where, a Pokemon that participates in the battle gets a lot more experience, and the other ones get, like, residual experience to just help them level up a little bit. Here, they all get the same, which, changes things a little bit in the sense that the way I usually play a game, I want to, have the weakest Pokemon going out first, but if I have one that's really under level for the area I'm in, I'll put that at the bottom and let it level up by getting the experience share. But, once it can fight, I'll put it back at the top so it levels up more than the rest of the party. And here I can't really do that. Like, once one of the Pokemon has an advantage over the others in terms of how much experience it got, it's always going to be ahead of the others because, you know, they all only get the same experience each and every time. So and for me, the way I play games, it makes it harder to cycle through my Pokemon because I kind of just prioritize putting the weakest Pokemon first. But on the flip side, this means you can just use whatever Pokemon you want at any given time, and they'll all get the same experience, so you don't have to worry about one of your Pokemon being too weak and the others being too strong. Another interesting thing I've noticed is that Pokemon encounters are way more frequent than in the official games. Like, you go through a couple patches of grass, and you can have like 4 battles in 2 patches of grass. It's crazy. Like, there's so many Pokemon encounters. It kind of makes the game feel a little bit more tedious, which I think is a bit of a problem going in, and especially, you know, coming from a normal Pokemon game. You know, I think, you know, that might be fine because this experience is probably shorter, and I just don't know how short it is, and it just got me off guard how many battles there were. But with that being said, I think neither the experience share or the wild encounters are pointless because there are some huge level spikes in this game. Like, the trainer levels increase very quickly, so you really do want to get as much experience as you can for all your Pokemon. So leaving the experience share on and facing all the battles you can is pretty much mandatory because there's gonna be a big spike in levels, and you're gonna have to train your Pokemon in order to be able to stand those fights because they get very hard very quickly. So yeah, I think the design decisions all play into each other and they make sense. It's just if you come into it with the mindset of playing a normal Pokemon game, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna be taken aback a little bit. So that's something to keep in mind. With all of that being said though, this is absolutely one of the most exciting, coolest projects I've ever seen in the Pokemon community. I've seen a lot of Pokemon fan games over the years, and, you know, sometimes they look kind of interesting, but I don't really care to pick them up. This one really drew me from the beginning, and the demo, like, it looks just as good as I was hoping it would, you know, barring a couple little things I mentioned earlier, but it looks amazing. It works well too, and it's clear that the developer is very passionate about this project, so I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. If the visual style improves even more, I want to see what the story is like. I do want to play the demo on stream. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Yeah, I'm very excited about this project, so I'll throw that question to you. Do you like what you're seeing of this game? Are you going to play it? Do you want me to stream it? Just let me know in the comments, and I promise I'll listen. If enough people want it, I'll stream it. Either way, that's all for this video, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!